You gotta do it alone. You gotta do it broke. You gotta do it scared. You gotta do it when you don't know what's going to happen. You gotta do it when you don't feel like it. You gotta do it even when you're nervous. You gotta do it even when you don't have the answers, because you'll figure it out as you go. You know, that's the secret to manhood. That's the secret to life. No matter who you are, you'll figure it out as you go through this life.
I know what darkness looks like. I know what it feels like to be alone with no motivation, no drive, no passion. And what has to come out of your fucking soul in the darkest of times is what you just did right there.
Well, I mean, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves, actually. You know, I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because, you know, we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have.
You know, we always think that we gotta have it all figured out. We think that we have to know the game plan before we could take a move. Life ain't like that. You know, life is more spontaneous than that. You know, life is built on curiosity. Life is built when you move towards your goals and dreams and you don't know what's going to happen, but you have enough faith to keep going. You have enough faith to make it work. You know, that's what life is built on.
And it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.
Even if I don't like myself right now, and even if I feel insufficient and not enough right now, if I can project that where I will be in future is going to be better, doesn't matter that I think I might be a little bit of a piece of shit in the moment, because tomorrow will be okay. Like, I don't love myself today, but I might love myself tomorrow because I'm moving in the direction of better.
Life isn't fair at all. At all. So what are you gonna do about it? I knew that no one was coming back to help me. No one was gonna miracle me to be somebody special. Everybody that called me nigger, my dad, my mom, all my situations were on me now, and solely on me. So I had to start developing an indestructible mental toolbox. So I sat there on that couch and I realized, man, I am a piece of shit. And even though the world helped me get here, my false reality helped me even more. And listening to somebody else's dialogue.
If your life was a movie and people were watching up to this point, what would the audience be screaming at the screen, telling you to do with your life? What would they be it's fucking obvious. Leave the job. Leave the, you need to get, like, it's your brother. It's the fucking killer's hiding in the cupboard, whatever it might be. What would the audience watching the movie of your life be screaming at the screen, telling you to do?
Don't do something you don't want to do. Why are you wasting your time? There's so little time on this earth. Life goes fast. What is it, 4,000 weeks? That's your lifespan. And yes, we hear that, but we don't remember it.
For me personally, there's no lack of urgency when I wake up in the morning to think, oh, don't worry, I got all the time in the world, because I know I don't. And I'm lucky to be here, and I'm going to try and live in a way that will at least do justice for my friends that aren't here.
Things go wrong. They always seem to happen at once, and they just compound on top of each other. And it's pretty easy sometimes to feel beaten. That doesn't mean give up. In fact, it means the opposite. It means it's time for you to fight harder, to dig in.
It's hard to throw, catch, block, and tackle and hit kids when they're way bigger and way more developed than you, only to go home that night bruised and battered and strained, but knowing you have to show up again the next day for just the chance to try again.
But for the most part, you're going to run into challenges in life, and if you curl up into a ball and complain about it, that's not going to help you. And if you say, okay, cool, good, here's some adjustments I can make to move forward, that's going to be a better move than cowering.
At some point, everything's going to go south on you. Everything's going to go south, and you're going to say, this is it. This is how I end. Now, you can either accept that, or you can get to work. That's all it is. You just begin. You do the math. You solve one problem, then you solve the next one, and then the next. And if you solve enough problems, you get to come home.
If you want the life but not the lifestyle, you guarantee disappointment. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to pursue this outcome, but you're not prepared to do what it takes to get it. Okay, you want to be a touring musician. Sounds fantastic. You need to spend probably between 5 and 10 years just learning the instrument. This is before you get to perform. You don't really get to perform on stage for that long.
Yeah.
And then when you start doing that, the first are maybe going to be in someone's borrowed van, in the back of a van. You're not going to have enough money for hotels. You're going to be playing to 100 people. No one's going to care about you. You're not going to have any money. You're not going to know if it's going to work. You have no promise of glory on the other side. You're going to be racked with self-doubt, constantly uncertain.
It's hard when you're young to wake up in the off season at 6 a.m. to go train and work out, knowing that all your friends are sleeping in and eating pancakes. It's hard when you're on your way to practice, weighed down with all your gear, and it's 90 degrees out and all the other kids are at the pool or at the beach, and your body is already completely exhausted from workouts and two-a-days.
Most of the gains in life come from suffering in the short term so you can get paid in the long term. I think
That's classic. That
winning the
in fact-
marshmallow test
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
To achieve true greatness, you must be mad. Madness and greatness are inextricably connected. You can't separate them. To get true greatness, there has to be some demons. There has to be a mad struggle in your mind, and you have to want it so badly. You have to want that result so badly that you are willing to put in more time, more effort, more focus, more hours, and just you don't get to smell the roses, man.
This is your limitation. You have not went beyond that yet. And so on the one side, this is motivating to me, but on the other side, it also just cultivates this constant drive, this constant fire. And why do I think fire is as important as water is? Just to say it right away. But it is that fire that nourishes us to do things. Fire is the active part about us. There's so much available about all these things. Well, then certainly laziness is not in there.
But if you don't, another one is that if you don't lie awake at night thinking about it, you don't want it badly enough.
Yeah, I think I've heard you talk before about how sort of unclosed loops, problems that you're working on can cause you to be sleepless. Yet stubbornness is or consistency is a hell of a performance enhancer. It's the one way, and you've spoken about this too, how are you presuming that you're going to be able to beat somebody who does one thing if you're doing two things? At the very least, you need to be twice as good in order to be able to keep up just with where they're at.
In my life, I was like, oh wait, the structure and the discipline makes me feel better. It fills me with more confidence and ability to go do other things rather than taking away.
Regardless of whether it's in service of becoming Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, and I mean, I know those things, but like you said, it was all of a sudden it was like, oh well, I'll just cut one meal out because like I'm busy now. Oh well, my shoulder's injured, so I'm gonna do my rehab, but like I don't really want to.
Why do I have this insight into the martial art or into anything? Because I spent more than the average person in staying with practice. So when other people go out and meet friends and make party, I stay with myself and do my breathing exercise, just like this. And so ultimately, when it also comes to like personal development, there is that the main work must be done for you by yourself.
The answers you are looking for is in the silence you're avoiding.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. The answers you're looking for is in the silence you're avoiding. You need fewer inputs, not more.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, that's really it's interesting, that thing of like, because it's two British guys, so we feel like we should apologize for saying anything deep.
I realize you go higher, you go even more alone. Why? Because nobody is willing anymore to invest their energy in going higher, because it's becoming more difficult. They say, oh, it's already okay here. Why you still want to move up there? The air is getting thinner over there. It's getting more hard to breathe. It's getting more dangerous, whatever. So that means along this way, the higher you want to go, the more likely you're gonna walk alone. This is the next thing. in one sentence I always remember again. Along the way to mastery, you walk the way alone.
People only root for people who don't need it. That's when you want people to root for you. That's when you want people to support you. Once you've already won, people are like, he's amazing, he's so good. But like, that's the time when you need it the least. And so you always have to be the person who roots for you before everyone else does. And it's usually a single clap in the auditorium for a very long period of time. It is a slow clap that's just you rooting for you. And the path of the exceptional person is one of an exception, which means that you are not with other people.
But also, how do you become comfortable with being okay with people not understanding? That's the trick. Like, I hate to say it bluntly.
Yeah.
I used to have such a high level of give a fuck attached to how you felt about my decisions that were best for me. So the day that I became comfortable with going, I don't really give a fuck if like they understand or not. Like, I'm done. I know, but they feel it's really important. You got to do it today. I'll talk to them tomorrow. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna change from this time to that time. You have to get to a point to where you actually get that and are okay with that.
I just made the decision I was going to be a YouTuber. I was going to die trying. Sounds different hearing me say it now, but I had that type of like devotion when I was younger. Like, even when people would tell me it was crazy, when no odds in my favor, with no equipment, no nothing, no social skills, no editing, no camera, no one to teach me, no one to help me. I was just like, I don't care. I'm going to figure it out, or I'm going to die trying.
You want to reach a lot of people. I think you do it alone. It's ultimately going to somehow end up like this. Because nobody can understand you yet. Nobody can follow up nobody can follow up on the path that you have walked in order to make you being able to stand there and speak out. If they would have, they would stand right next to you.
Nobody believed that I was funny when I said I was gonna be a comedian. Like, they were like, you funny, but not comedian funny. Nobody has the confidence in the decisions that you're making for yourself like you do. So if you're waiting for that to connect in the beginning stages, it may or may not. If it doesn't, it shouldn't prevent you from like following through on whatever the line of like go is for you.
I was like, my roommate could tell you, I was grinding my ass off, like when nobody was like able to see it. I was there like just grinding my ass off
on YouTube
only, like, and people would, like, I don't know, like, it was so weird because like I did not give a fuck what anybody thought. Like, college people would look at me weird and shit, and I just did not give a fuck. I just not give a fuck.
Do everything that you feel, even if you are told that it's the wrong thing. No, but not anything violent.
So do what you feel, say what you feel, like trust your heart.
Yeah, trust your gut. Trust your instincts, because that instinct is who God made you to be. Something is trying to say, be the maximum yay. Be the maximum you. And God won't give you anything that you can't handle.
If you're gonna do it, do it. Say what you can do. Do what you say. If you can't do it, don't say you can do it. Don't over-leverage yourself. Don't over-leverage a decision and then jump in and kind of dip a toe. I think I'll try it out. No, think if you're going to try it out beforehand, but when it's time to go, dive. Finish it. Find out. Come out the other side.
Nobody cares about you more than you should care about yourself. And nobody is giving you the roadmap to like the wins. You have to go find that information. You gotta go discover it. You gotta want to get it. You gotta want to do it. And with the right help, the right word of knowledge, it can better help position you. But ultimately, you gotta want to do it.
The grind is really what's gonna be hard though, because everybody get comfortable, everybody be doing this, everybody be doing that. And the way I be thinking is that if I'm taking any breaks, there's somebody out there right now that's literally grinding his ass off and is gonna blow up anytime now. And he or she is dead ass like working her or his ass off. And I always think like,
I think that a lot of the personal excellence comes down to making the but I'll know more important than the but what will everyone else think. is if everyone else in the room says it's exceptional, and then you say, but I'll know it's not because I don't think it's exceptional yet. If you still break what everyone else believes is beautiful so that you can make the thing that you make it the way you want it to make, or make it the way you want it to be, I think that is probably like the truest test of whether or not you really do value your own opinion over those of other people's, the things that you'd know. And then you'd be the type of person who always phones it in. And that to me is disgusting.
If you wake up and every day you obsess over something and you live and breathe it, and that's what you think about, that's what you do, that's what you study on and off, that's what you stay up every night grinding, and no one else even gives a flying about it, it's like, you just feel like a weirdo, you know, like an outcast. And I was also like just dumb. Back then I didn't realize, oh, well, I just need to find different people. I thought like, oh, my whole life I'll just never enjoy talking to people.
I would way rather teach someone who didn't know anything than teach someone who learned things wrong. Because someone who learned things wrong, it's very difficult to correct their technique. They have a mode in their mind they shift to when they're panicky or when they're being pressured. They always go back to the bad technique, always. It's very hard to get someone to learn technique correctly when they know it incorrectly. You got to re-teach them everything.
I did have a real belief, whether I was tricking myself or not, that there's a bigger pot of gold for me on the other side of this if I just out-endure it. I'll out-endure this so much. And it became a little like the year in Australia. I started to gain pride and honor with the longer the penance went on of being without what I wanted. And I started to be like, well, I definitely ain't backing out now, man. I'm 6 months in.
Turns into momentum.
All in a year later, I'm like, I'm a year in, man. This is getting good. Okay, come on.
What I realized on my journey was a lot of us don't believe that we can achieve the impossible. You can fucking achieve the absolute impossible. You don't need great parents. You don't need like a private school. You don't need to have this humongous GPA and all this other shit. What you need is the one thing I talked about in my book, which is straight up brutal work ethic.
So yeah, all of the chips on your shoulder and the bitterness and resentment that you've got, you just use it. The need for validation, the want to prove yourself. I got to get the goal. I got to do the riches. I need to, fine. But I don't think that that's a bad thing. And I think it's largely a luxury belief of people who have big platforms that can say this is the thing that you should do from the very start, because it's not how they got there.
I talked to no one from that time in my life compared to today. And I was absolutely miserable and unhappy and unfulfilled. I think coming to terms with the idea that I could be absolutely rejected by everyone I know, but like me, I was more okay with that because the alternative was I didn't want to live anymore. And so obviously there's degrees and there's continuums and there's stages of where people are at with that. But as that being the taken to its logical extreme, would I rather live for them than live for me? I would rather be hated by everyone and like myself.
If you pan it down here, you see it's about 3 o'clock in the morning and there's not a car or a person in sight. If you pan over here, it's the same thing. Not a car or a person in sight. There's not a motherfucker that's up. There's not a car, there's not a person. Everybody's in their bed, sleep, dreading that it's a Monday, hate it's a Monday. And I'm loving it. I'm loving that. Where everybody's getting weaker, I'm getting stronger. It's not about the running, the swimming, the push-ups, the sit-ups. It's about what those things do for your mentality. You don't get better on the daggone couch. You get better by coming out here and getting the fuck after it every daggone day.
But if you are able to get up every morning, have no passion, no drive, no motivation, no shit, and still get up with that kind of fire, you will be successful in life. I guarantee you that. I have a resume full of fucking motivation. That whenever I'm down, I'm like, oh, hang on, motherfucker. Oh, you know the truth. You know the truth. You know the darkness of the fucking dungeons and the fucking demons that fly. You know. And then from there, it's like, okay, you were there. You know this. There was no one there to pick up the rucksack, to pick up the boat, to pick up the log, to go in there. It was you. It was you. There was no pat on the fucking back at 300, at 275, at 250, at 220. No, that was you. So those things that come out of me, that extract from me in the darkness, people are looking for that pat on the back. Where is it? Oh, I don't need it. Because what I've done is in the fucking unseen work, I built Frankenstein. So whenever shit gets nasty, David Goggins goes, "You had nobody anyway, motherfucker."